autograph sessions, practice, and a special invitation to watch Buccaneers Walk Thru. All that coming up next on Ren's Training Camp Journal.
Well, you made me weep, and you made me moan. When you caused me to leave, child, my happy home. But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore.
Welcome, listeners and subscribers, to episode 10 of Ren's Training Camp Journal. Today, we have some special things to talk about. Brent, the co-host and creator of the Pewtercast, was invited to a few special events, and we're going to start with the autograph session. Brent, why don't you say hello and sort of tell us how this came about and what exactly, how to go, what happened?
Yeah, hey everybody. Always glad to be back here on Ren's Training Camp Journal. It's a fun show. So I got an email early last week. I don't know, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around there, that said that I was invited because of our club ticket status, I think it was. I'm not exactly sure who was a part of this group of people. That said that there was an autograph session. They were going to be holding an autograph session with the players on Friday night, and that we were invited. And the way they had it set up was you had to secure tickets. You could get 2 tickets per set of tickets or whatever that you had, and they had the offense players coming in at one time and the defensive players coming in at a different time, and you could choose between one of the two, but you couldn't be at both.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Wait.
I know.
No, wait. So first off, you had to go like you did with the open training camp.
Exactly.
Practice.
Yeah.
You had to go on and RSVP your spot basically, and then you get there and they scan your QR code. But you couldn't go to both.
Right. So like I think the defensive players were out at like 7 and the offensive players were out at like 8 o'clock.
Right.
And so you had to pick which session you wanted to be a part of.
Which one did you pick and why?
I picked the 8 o'clock, and really it was more of a timing reason. Because
8 o'clock would have been the
offensive side.
You.
Because with knowing that we were actually going to be here all day on Saturday with training camp practice in the morning, and then we had the Premier Member Walk Thru on Saturday night. We had the autograph session, and then my wife happened to have the day off. And so I kind of looked at her and I said, well, hey, what if we made this a whole like family event and we just all went? So what we wound up doing was I brought my whole family to Tampa with me this time. Usually it's just me driving down from Jacksonville and, kind of taking care of whatever we need to do. And then I turn around and go home. But so I had my son and my daughter, 6 and 3 years old, real small. And then my wife, I won't tell you how old she is. But although she's having her 40th birthday here soon, so you do the math. So we brought them all, and
how cryptic.
Next Thursday, actually. Anyway, so I brought the family down, and we had a hotel actually fairly close to the stadium, and dropped my wife and my daughter off at the hotel because we only had 2 tickets. And my son and I got to come over and do the autograph session. And so that's why we did 8 o'clock, was because he was in karate day camp earlier in the day, and he tested out and got a new belt at the end of the day about 3 o'clock, so we couldn't get down there really any sooner. And turns out it's a good thing, because we pulled into Tampa right about the time we had to drop them off at the hotel and get back over to the stadium or to the indoor facility.
That's where the autograph session was? They had it in the indoor facility?
Yeah, they held it in the indoor facility, and you'd come in and they'd park, you'd get parked, and they'd bring you in through like the big garage doors on the side, like not the nice glass doors that you normally get to go in for during training camp. But they brought you in, and it was cool. First of all, it was nice and air conditioned, which was really nice. As the indoor facility is. And you walk in, and it was a good setup. I got to tell you, like I was fairly impressed by how they had this done. What they did was they gave you a piece of paper. They had 8 tables kind of set up towards the back end of the indoor facility, and you could
like in one of the end zones.
Yeah, like on the far end zone from where you're entering. And at each table, at each group, there was like one or two like A-list players for the Buccaneers, and then there was 2 or 3 or 4 camp bodies, shall we say?
So if you can remember, sort of describe like one table. Like, okay.
Yeah. So like there was like you'd have Cam Brate and O.J. Howard and Anthony O'Clair, but then those are the A-listers. Yeah, and then you Anthony O'Clair is a B-lister, but you had Cam Brate and O.J. Howard like together at a table, and then Anthony O'Clair was there, but then you also had like Price Givens or Givens Price or whatever his name is, and then actually Sean Wilson was there, and so that was cool. Like that was a table, and then another table.
But do you really want Sean Wilson's autograph?
Exactly.
And at this point, I mean, you're like, oh hey, it's Sean Wilson. I want to talk to you.
Right.
I don't really want you signing my hat though.
Right. So you had and then this Givens, and then there was somebody else whose name I could not even begin to tell you who he was. And then there was another table that had the offensive line. So Ryan Jensen was there, and then Ali Marpet and Donovan Smith, and then a couple of guys that you're never ever going to hear from ever. Like Caleb Beninock and DeMar Dotson were at a different table. Alex Kappa was not there. So who else is there? I can't even think. Like Brad Seaton, I think, was one of them. Who was fine.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah, so I mean, you get what I mean. Like, and they had those kind of different. It wasn't quite position groups like that. Kind of makes it sound. As much as it really was just a mix between, the guys who will be on the roster and guys who probably won't, maybe might.
Gotcha. So you get in there, and what do you got? First off, did you bring merchandise? Did you buy merchandise? They have merchandise on sale for them. Did they give you something for them to sign?
And that was actually one of the things. And I got to talk to, and I can't remember his name, but he is the head of like member events and guest relations kind of thing for the Buccaneers. I got to bump into him a little bit, and he gave me his email address, said, hey, email me your thoughts on the event. And I said, okay, because this was the very first time the Buccaneers have ever done this.
Okay.
And I asked him, I was like, was this kind of like a last minute thing? Because I just got the email earlier this week. And he's like, we'd been thinking about it for a while, but we just finally got it worked out with the football operations to be able to do something like this. So they,
Yeah, it is training camp. Hey, I need like an hour of everybody's
most of the team's time. Right. Exactly.
When can I do that?
So they didn't have a merchandise tent open, or at least not one that I saw. And that was a little surprising. And they told you in the email, bring something for people to sign. So most people had posters, footballs, cards, pieces of clothing, jerseys, that kind of, like most people brought their own. And what we had, if anybody has ever watched our YouTube channel, sitting behind me is a white Buccaneers football that actually is commemorative from the Super Bowl era. I wound up taking that because that's just what I had that was Buccaneers related to be signed. So if anybody watches the YouTube channel from here on out, you'll look over my shoulder, you'll see it, and it's got a whole lot of black marker on it. That's all the players who signed it. So I took my son and let him kind of do that. He was interesting. He's 6 years old. He doesn't quite understand the idea of an autograph, or that it adds value supposedly to things. And so he was just wanting to play football on the field with the autographed ball. But he thought it was really cool to get to meet the players, and it was a neat event. It really was. You for the hour that you had, you maybe got to stand in 2 lines. Like you did not make it through everybody.
Two of the 8.
Yeah, of those different tables that they had. And
okay, so this brings up an interesting point.
Sure.
So you get there and you see what's going on. Maybe you don't know that, hey, I can't get to all 8, but you figure it out probably the first 5 minutes you're waiting in the first line. Yeah. So who did you go to first? Like, I'm definitely getting this. And
offensive
now
line.
when you finally
you guys know me, offensive line. And also it was one of the shorter lines.
There you go. So after you've got the offensive line, okay, and now you're looking around and you've got 7 more lines, and you're looking, you're like, hey man, I probably can only get 1 more table. Who did you go to and why?
Well, actually, I thought that I was going to be able to get like 2, maybe 3, depending on how fast they went. So I did the grocery line thing. I looked to see which line was the shortest and made my best guess. Yeah,
all right.
And I didn't really like Jameis's line. The line that he was at was backed up. I mean, it was backed up all the way to the 50-yard line. I wasn't going to make it through that one. Mike Evans' line, his was backed up from about the 35, 40-yard line. So D-Jax was out there. The shortest one that I found was the one that had those tight end guys on it, the Cam Brate and Antonio Claire and O.J. Howard. Sean Wilson, I remember he was the first one sitting at that table, and on it. Austin Allen was another guy sitting at that table.
Now we talked a little bit about this. Is Austin Allen's name on that football over your shoulder?
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that I've
devalued the item now.
This is something that we talked about because it's sort of this, fine line between, hey, I bought this, I should be able to, and Brent's showing us right now, and this will never go on YouTube, so okay. But he's there. But this sort of felt like I bought this. I should be able to get the players and only the players I want to sign this.
Yeah.
But when there's a table of 5 guys and 2 to 3 of them aren't going to make the team, or if they do, practice squad, or they might not even play at all. Where's this, how did you handle that? Obviously, you just let them sign, but I mean, this dude is Austin at let's face it, in 3 weeks, Austin Allen will never, ever, ever, chances are 98% be in $1 place ever again.
You're 100% right. And as you guys are listening to this episode today, obviously Ren and I are recording this a lot after the fact. So he and I actually had a little bit of this conversation you'll hear later when we actually were talking together in practice. And so you guys will hear that. But the other side of it, no, because that was a concern of mine, Ren. It was legit a concern. And here's the thing. I'm not a super confrontational guy. And I don't know, you're sitting there going, and here's the thing, you hand the football to the first person who may be like an A-lister that you want to have them sign, right? They don't hand it back to you. They hand it to the guy next to them, and it just goes down the line.
So you actually got to grab it from
and
Austin Allen.
You would have to say, no, you don't sign it, you scrub. And that's awkward. You're not going to do that. Or some people aren't going to do that. You might, Ren.
I would, for sure.
But
like I said, he has to understand. It's like, Austin Allen would probably get it. Like, okay, here, OJ, sign it. And he has to Austin Allen be like, no. It's like, no, I don't, no offense, if you're here next year or maybe the year after that,
we'll talk
sure,
about it. Right.
But you're going to be in camp for like 6 weeks, and that's it, man.
But I mean, it's a lot of the same. You get to the end of a practice at training camp, and all the guys, they come over and they do the autograph sessions, and they're just kind of going down, and people are just holding stuff out for guys to sign. Everybody, even a lot of those scrubs are coming down doing that. And
how many times have you heard this autograph line where the person, as they're like grabbing the person's, piece of memorabilia or whatever to sign, the person goes, "Who are you?" It's because you'll hear me you hear I'm Myers. I play DB as he's signing. It's like you hear that a lot.
What I hear more often than that is where somebody would be like, "Hey, Ryan Smith, I'd love for you to sign it." And he's like, "Yeah, my name's Myers."
Yeah. I'm actually Josh Robinson.
Exactly.
I'm your biggest fan, Ryan Smith. I'm Josh Robinson.
That's
whatever.
That's about what it's like. So, and I told the guy with the Buccaneers, I was like, man, and no offense to those guys, it's just awkward. I don't have that personality trait, I guess. I'm going to let them sign it, but it's just weird. It's awkward. Now here's what I might like, because I tend to be I'm a completist when it comes to my collector stuff. I want to get the whole set or whatever.
Yeah.
They sell these balls, these autograph balls that have Training Camp 2018 emblazed on them. So for that, I could see if I could go get all 90 guys to sign my 2018 Training Camp ball,
Yeah.
That would be a situation where I'd really want those guys to sign the ball. But after that,
Yeah.
I really don't. So here's how I handled it. The ball I gave to my son, I just let, he doesn't know, he barely knows Jameis Winston from Austin Allen.
Right.
Right. Like he's just not that into it yet. So I'll let him sign it, whatever. But I had like my hat. And I wish I would have brought like maybe a couple of cards or something. And I was only going to let a certain, like one person, maybe two people sign, or like my son had his Gerald McCoy jersey. I told him, I was like, nobody else signs this except for the guy whose name is on this jersey.
Right.
So there was a few items that I held back that were individualized or personalized to a particular player. But the football was just kind of, that's how I handled it. Right. I don't know how other people, there are some people who will take any and all autographs no matter what. So, and I told them that.
His name's Brent Allen.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. So yeah, well, that's not breaking news. So you say you were talking. Stop. So you say you were talking to. You were basically going over this conundrum with the event planner. Yeah, and I don't know that he really heard what I had to say about that. And how else are you really going to do that? Yeah. It's exactly. You put all the scrubs on one table. There's no line. Like, exactly. Talk about a fast line. Exactly. And you're not going to put. And it would be very inefficient to allow each person to have their own line. Right. Or maybe, I don't know. This is how they do it at like Comic Cons and stuff, right? Another major autographing things is each person literally has their own table and people wait in like a queue line for each individual person. But to do it this way, because they only had an hour. Now here was the other thing about the event. Here's the thing. It was a good event. Okay. Like kudos to the Buccaneers, fan, people who plan stuff like this. Cool fan event. If you got to go, you guys know what I'm talking about. I think they will continue to get better as they continue to do these. This was the first one they did. But like one of the things that kind of bothered me was, or that bothered me a lot was like once you kind of, so I got through the one line, I got through the second line, and I got into the third line. And they have like the scoreboard is on and it's counting down the time. Okay. And like you go to get in line and the guy who's there like kind of managing that line is like, yeah, you can get in line, but man, I don't know if you're going to make it. Because when that clock hits down, they're leaving. And I was kind of going, are they really going to leave? Like there's people going to be in the line. They're just going to get up and leave. Mid signature. Yeah. And sorry. You know what happened? That clock hit 0. And a couple of them stayed and signed 1 or 2 extras because somebody happened to be right there in the line. But most of them got up and walked away. And not just that they got up and walked away, like a PR guy or some football operations guy came and got them and said, okay, it's time to go. Made it look like they were being dragged away. Exactly. Yeah. So fans wouldn't be mad at them. And here's the thing. What I wish they would have done differently was set it up to where the lines close at, say, 8:45. You know what I mean? The line. And then once the line is closed, you can't get anybody new in the line, but they'll get everybody who goes through the line. That's the way I wish they would have done that, which, by the way, that's the way they do things at like Disney and Universal and stuff. Like if you're in the line when things close, they'll let you go through. But unless there's like lightning or something, right? But they won't just leave you hanging, and you're like, dude, I just waited all this time and I'm the next one in line and you got up and left. Like, that's kind of crap. Can you imagine being the person being next? Like usually next is great. It's like, I'm next. Like, that's really a great feeling. It doesn't matter whatever happens. I'm next. Right. Except I'm going to get instance. In. Right. Except for this instance where it's, you're next. Well, so they did that. Good luck with that. Yeah, exactly. So I wish they would have. Those would be the two things. Like, how do you make it not awkward to not get some of these other guys' autographs? Sack up. Would that be for the individual person? But how do you make it not awkward for everybody else? And then, letting people actually finish whatever line they're in. Those would be kind of the two things that I would suggest. But it was a very well run thing. They had like a DJ out there who was playing music, but it wasn't overly loud and obnoxious. They were kind of getting the kids to dance and do some different things. And they did allow the kids to run on the field and play and, kind of do those things. So, it was just a good little, 1 hour
fan event that was cool to be able to get to experience.
So all in all, thumbs up for the event.
Yeah, I'd give it a B, a solid B, maybe B plus.
And with a minor tweak here and there, it'd be an A.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All
So
right.
glad for the Buccaneers. You know, I was surprised that this was the first time they had ever done something like that. You know,
I remember one time, and this is way back, where there was a couple of Buccaneers that showed up at Tyrone Square Mall.
Uh-huh.
And this is in St. Petersburg, and I don't think the mall's even Is it standing? It is still here. Maybe it wasn't. I think it was Pinellas Park Mall, Pinellas Square Mall.
Oh wow.
I don't remember. I don't think the mall's standing anymore. But at one end of like way down, like by Sears, you know, sort of at the Cap store, they had 2 Buccaneers, and then way down on the other end of the mall, like down by maybe J.C. Penney's, they had 2 more Buccaneers.
Uh-huh.
And I remember going to that. I got Kevin House's autograph, and I remember being underwhelmed by the whole thing. Like Kevin House, it just felt like he did not want to be there. And I could tell this, like being like 8, 9, 10 years old, like he just didn't want to be there. Mm-hmm. But, you know, that's about the only time I can remember an event that you didn't sort of have to buy a ticket and go to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember last year, like Jameis had like a backpack event, but I think like you had to buy a ticket and buy a backpack, and then you got like a picture and an autograph from Jameis or things like that. But yeah, so I think it's a cool thing, especially if I still don't like you can only go to one. I understand because there's so many people, but I think you should be able, if you get there first and you can reserve a offense and defensive autograph session ticket.
Yeah,
you should be able to.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm sure a lot of that just had to do with, you know, how do we get the most amount of people in here that doesn't make it unmanageable when they're here,
right, and give a fair shake to everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see the thinking. I just don't like it.
I agree. It was a little off-putting. Off-putting. You know, so yeah, there's some things. The other thing too that I wish that they would do this more with the players in general when they interact with the fans is coach the players a little bit in how to talk to the fans, because a part of an autograph session with something like this is the idea that the fans, there are some fans who like won't even look at a player. They just hold out a ball or they hold out a card or they hold out whatever and say, here, sign it, and then grab it and run away. You know,
right.
I think for the majority of fans, there's legitimately not just getting the autograph. Like that's almost secondary to, I actually just got to meet this player.
Right.
And I got to say hi to this player. And
the autograph is more like, here's my proof.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the memento you get to take with you is that they signed it for you. 'Cause there was no like, hey, let me take a picture with you. And a lot of times the players were just talking between themselves, grabbing stuff, signing it, and handing it off while they were carrying on a conversation, not really even looking at the fans. And, you know, there are things that, like as a fan, I come up to a player, what am I going to say to that player? Like I want to talk to you. I want to engage with you. I want to say something. You know, you're a player I like. But what about, hi, a good catch the other day in the game. Yeah. You know, hey, I hope that injury isn't lagging for you. You're gonna, hey, Jameis, have a good 3 weeks off on your suspension. We're looking for you to come back. Like, I mean, you know, it's the I want to say something
Howard,
to you.
Do you like grapefruit juice?
Right, right. You got any gloves that fit? I mean,
and before you could continue that sort of scenario you just said where the players are having a conversation between themselves and never looking at the fans, that's kind of what I remember from the Kevin House autograph session was like, you know, I didn't even exist. Like it was a sign this, okay, bye. Sign this, like never made eye contact, never looked at me, never smiled, never said thanks for coming out, go, like none of that. It was just like, bloop, like, oh, how much time do I have to be here? Okay. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Now, I mean, I will say they did much better with my son, and understandably so. You know, you see a 38-year-old man standing there versus a 6-year-old kid, you interact with a 6-year-old kid. I get it. And actually, as a parent, that's what I want you to do. You know?
Yeah.
And there was a couple of them that, like, you know, they'd give him like the fist bump or they'd say, hey, man, what's going on? But some sort of actual like interaction with the fans. And you know, you can kind of prep these guys with a handful of 4 or 5 statements that kind of give you like a little connective, allow the player to kind of lead that conversation. Hey, what's your name? Hey, where are you from? Thanks for coming out. You excited to see the Bucs play this year? Like something that just gives you a little bit of an interaction.
Who's your favorite player?
Yeah. Is it me, right? Is it? Oh, yeah. Of course, it's that guy over there. Awesome. Ryan Jensen standing next to Ali Marpet. Hey, who's your favorite player? Like for example, Ryan Jensen. So I was like, hey, Ryan Jensen, man, I just talked to your dad and, for our show, and he told us some stories about you. And he was like, yeah, okay, great, whatever. Like I think if somebody told me that they just talked to my dad, I'd be like, oh yeah, what did he tell you?
Is that a true story?
Yeah. What? So I wish that they would.
Wait, is that what happened?
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what happened.
He could care less.
Yeah, he was like, okay, whatever. I mean, I was like, well, okay, thanks, Red.
Yeah. You are not my favorite player.
Right. Man, we peed together and everything. Jeez. How's that house you just closed on?
I just forgot about that story.
For people who don't know, the very first time I met Ryan Jensen was in the bathroom, and he peed right next to me, although I was there first, and there was a row of empty urinals, and he saddled up right next to me. Anyway.
All right, that's enough for the autograph session.
Yeah.
All right, so
cool fan event. This is a fan podcast. It's a good fan event.
It sounded like it was a cool fan event. All right, so then, you go back to your hotel, and, we wake up early in the morning, we go to Buccaneers practice, and you, once again, like you said, you had your family there. Mm-hmm. How was that? Because this is, I guess, the time where you got to go to the kids zone, you got to sort of explore the things that I ignore, where you can throw the football and climb in the jumpy gym and all that kinds of stuff. Like, make this very brief, please.
Sure.
But what can you say about, the family, I guess, bringing your family to training camp? How was that for you?
Yeah, and I would say that the Buccaneers training camp is a good family event. If you can get the tickets to bring out your family, bring out your kids, do it. It's free. It's good to be able to get them out there. There's lots of stuff for the kids to do. The things they have is the pirate ship is out there. If you go through the regular entrance, pirate ship's out there. The pirates are out there throwing beads. And Captain Fear's out there walking around. You put somebody in a costume, my kids eat that up, and you let them throw beads. Jude had like 15 beads around his neck, and he just kept begging for more. But they also have like a kid zone, as you mentioned, where there's a couple of like bounce houses kind of thing, like obstacle course races. There's a table that has various players' gear on it, like memorabilia gear. Like they had a pair of DeMar Dotson shoes, and like you could sit there and look at it and go, oh, that's a really big foot, size 18 foot or whatever it was. I had a problem with it though because the tag said DeMar Dotson center. And the guy who was like, they had like some little college kid or something who's like, yeah, he's our center. This is our center's foot right here. And I'm like, that's not our center. Yeah. He's our right tackle. Oh, well, he was our center last year. I was like, no, Ali Marpet was the center last year. And Joe Hawley was the backup for that one. Oh, well, maybe he was a center like years ago. I was like, well, DeMar's been on the team for a while. I don't know that he's ever played center. He flipped over to left tackle once. I don't think he's ever played center. This is tagged wrong. Like, sorry.
Or it means like, did it actually say center or just a C?
No, it said center. Center, like DeMar Dotson position, center. And it's from the
like
Glazer.
Somebody made like a label? It wasn't like written in the shoe.
Right. No. Yeah. Somebody made a label because like this is on loan from the Glazer Family Foundation and whatever museum they have or whatever.
And they.
Yeah. Wrong.
Yeah.
Just wrong.
Boo.
Yeah. Just wrong. So, but I mean, that guy there, that kid, he was so like, he was so adamant. And I was like,
he was doing his job.
Fake it till you make it is pretty much. So they had that, and then they had they had some stuff where you could throw a football in through the hands of like Mike Evans or Jameis Winston or into like Gerald McCoy's face or something like that.
So how did your kids like it?
They loved the bounce house. My kids are 6 and 3. They just want to run, and they were making circles through the bounce house, and it was really good for them to be able to do that. And then the other thing that they allow you to do is they allow you to go into the indoor facility whenever you want to, and they allow the kids to go play on the field, which is what my kids really wanted to do. My daughter fell in love with the cheerleaders. and they fell in love with her, and they gave her pom-poms, much to my wife's chagrin, because my wife does not want her being a cheerleader. But they just fell in love, and Jude was just out running on the field. And what they didn't have that I've seen at prior training camps is the like combine experience thing. Where they have like the jump measure thing, and they have the 40-yard dash time and all that. They didn't have any of that set up, so it was just an open field where the kids could just go in. You're in an air-conditioned situation, and they could just play on the field until the people came and shoot everybody away. So that's really kind of what we did. So I didn't get to see the first half of practice really at all, which was okay. I've been to training camp before. I've seen it. I'm pretty sure, so the question that I would have back to you about Saturday practice, Ren, is so that's the family side.
Right.
Did anything happen on the field to talk about on Saturday that's of note?
Well, that was a day, I talked about it last episode. That was a day where Justin Evans was lined up in slot, and they were playing you could call it a 3 safety look, or you can say that Ryan Jensen was playing nickel corner, however you do it. Mm-hmm. But today Brent Grimes actually participated in 11-on-11s, mm-hmm. and they still had Justin Evans in the slot. So they had Grimes and Carlton Davis on the outside, which looks like he's jumped ahead of Ryan Smith. Of course, Hargraves is out. If Hargraves was playing, I would guess it would be Grimes and Carlton Davis on the outside, Hargraves in the slot, and then Evans and Conte in the back. But since Hargraves is out, I guess Evans, right now they think they'd rather have, I guess the way to look at it, they'd rather have Whitehead on the field than MJ Stewart right now. Like they like Whitehead as the third safety more than they like MJ Stewart as the second or possibly third nickel corner, because Javian Elliott's out too, so you're not really sure where those two are in that battle. But Hargrave's definitely number one.
And you could also say that they like Chris Conte in at safety more than they like having MJ. Like that works not just for Whitehead but also for Conte too, right?
No.
Why not?
No, because Conte was on the field both times. Conte's going to stay on the field.
Right.
Whitehead, it looks like, is backing up
Justin Evans.
Thank you. Justin Evans, more the center fielder,
okay.
More the guy that, can go sideline to sideline. I know the position's very interchangeable, but that's where it looks like right now. Eventually, we all hope that at one point it's going to be Whitehead and Justin Evans out there, and we'll see where, how it goes. But, rolling into week one, it's going to be Justin Evans and Conte out there at the safety position. And Eve, it doesn't matter who's hurt between VH3, Javian Elliott, or MJ Stewart. I think one of those three is going to be the starting nickel corner week one. It's just that the Bucs aren't really comfortable with Stewart being there as running with the ones yet. I don't know if it's sort of like a message thing, like, hey, slow down a little bit here, Rook. Like, we don't want to put you in there, give you a big head, or maybe it's just like they don't want to put him in there and make him think that he's doing better than he actually is. Like he hasn't earned that spot. We'd rather have Justin Evans run the nickel than you run the nickel with the one. So it's just sort of like a pecking order thing where and I expect him to take it in stride and hopefully get there one day. So
interesting. Yeah, and I certainly noticed that later in practice, and then at the walkthrough later that night, they still had Evans in the slot. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. I mean, I guess Justin Evans really does he's got that year of experience in the NFL in the system. I don't know how much of a difference it is between playing safety and between playing slot, between that. I really don't. Like, presumably that's an okay spot. He did make a couple of pass breakups, I remember, later in the day, that we'll probably get to. So anything else?
That was really about it, because the outdoor portion was cut about 45 minutes early because we had a lightning warning.
Right.
So everybody went inside early. That's when, you went and grabbed a spot for us at the 50-yard line. I came and met you, and we let put the headphones on and started the recorder start playing. A couple of people took videos of us.
Oh, did they? I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, I can't tell if they're like videos of like, hey, it's the guy from the Pewtercast, or like, hey, look at these two freaking idiots pretending they're, announcers in the stands. It was very close about sort of if I was reading their facial expressions. It might have been, ha, 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 look at this jerk, or, oh, my God, look at the computer cast. Of course, I'm going to, go with.
Let's go with the first one.
Yes, exactly.
Let's go with that one.
Exactly. Let's go. Hey, it's a Peter cast.
Let's stroke our pride a little bit.
So we got a bunch of sound. Brent's going to have to go through it and chop it up because there's a lot going on. His kids were starting to slow down. They're starting to, as dads tend to be when, things get a little boring, dads start to turn into jungle gyms. And so that's what happened. His kids climbing all over him. So it was choppy, but we did that play-by-play thing. Brent's going to throw it all together. And so here's the audio of Fans in the Stands, brought to you by Brent Allen and Ren Daxt.
All right, Rance, let's do this. We got 11 on 11s. Looks like they finally have come together as both teams. We got Fitzpatrick under center taking snap in the shotgun, handing it off to Peyton Barber, who breaks through. Would have been down about 5 yards into that run, except, they're playing two-hand touch today.
Yeah, the Bucs' run defense didn't look too great last night against Miami. Even the starters, it felt like every time Miami ran the ball, it was like 4 yards minimum.
We got the Pirates walking through, throwing out some beads. But he's going to throw more. Don't worry, he's got bags of them in that big old satchel. All right, we got Jameis now coming into the game. He is going up under center. Looks like we've got Adam Geddes possibly at left guard. And he hands it off to Peyton Barber, Rojo, one of those two guys, who gets tackled just barely beyond the line of scrimmage. That was Ronald Jones, for the record.
Did you notice that Justin Evans has been playing slot today? Nickel slot?
I have not. Actually, Ren, this is the first time I'm actually getting to see the Bucs today.
Oh, that's right.
Because I was out with the kids doing some stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, as you can, slide in, let us know what's been happening in practice so far, because we're about an hour into practice, as it were.
I would like another one of those.
Another one of what? The beads. We got to look for the Pirates. They're the ones who throw them out. We got Jameis Winston under center, who is dropping back. And
sacked.
He would have been sacked.
Covered sack. Looks like he was going to Watson on a deep ball, and he was double covered by... I wish they pulled their shirts down so you could see their numbers.
Yeah, a lot of them do have their shirts rolled up underneath their pads, which you can understand.
Looks like it was Whitehead and Myers.
Myers, yeah.
We
are definitely in the second or third team right now. We got Ryan Griffin, who's in the game. He is up under center. Grabs the ball, he drops back, hands off to Jacquizz Rodgers, who breaks off. He would have been down probably, 2-3 yards past the line of scrimmage.
I disagree. That would have been
You think he would have broke off?
That was a touchdown.
You think so?
Yeah, with his speed?
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. He's not that fast.
No.
Yeah.
I was saying they collapsed around him pretty good.
Yeah, the Bucs came in early because there was a lightning alarm.
Was there?
So they're not really throwing the ball too much right now in 11 on 11s. It's a lot of running plays, which are usually things that they take care of outside. So when they come inside for the fans, it's more of a throwing session.
Gotcha.
A little more fun to watch.
We're here at 11 on 11s. We're going into first team reps. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick going under center. Chris Godwin motions to the left. Drops back, handoff to Peyton Barber, who gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage.
Looks like Quan Alexander came up and filled the hole, who didn't have a terribly good game last night with missed tackles and staying in his gap, to be honest. But, showed up that play in practice.
Bucs are lining up. They got D-Jax and Evans outride. Chris Godwin is coming in the slot.
They got a double A-gap blitz coming. All the DBs, linebackers, and defensive line are on the line of scrimmage with a single safety high playing center field.
We got Ali Marpet standing up in the middle of the line, trying to give some reads as they go back. They snap the ball into the shotgun. Ryan Fitzpatrick drops back, throws it short. The target was O.J. Howard, but, man, he had that ball lobbing about 5 yards behind O.J.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. The Bucs brought pressure, and they didn't get there, but they got there enough to warrant a terrible throw by Fitzpatrick. Fourth down, time to punt.
I think we'd call that a successful defensive play.
That would be a stop.
The kids are very excited, but we've now switched. Jameis Winston is in. He is getting his reps with the ones, and he has dropped back into the shotgun right now.
Nobody in the backfield. Peyton Barber motioned left.
Yeah.
Now he's split out wide.
Snap the ball. Quick jump off to Peyton Barber, who would be heading out. That'd be about a gain of 6 right there.
Yeah, it was a tunnel screen. It was a nice play. Levante David came from his inside position and ran down Peyton Barber from behind, but not after the quote-unquote first down. Will Clarkson looks like the second-string defense and offensive line and players. You got Hump and Watson out there.
Yeah, Adam Humphries is in the slot. We got Watson. And it looks like we got Rojo in the backfield as Jameis comes under center. And he motions for Hump to go to the right. Little play action pass.
No, it's an end around to Hump.
End around to Hump. There it is. Okay.
Adam Humphries
I'm glad you saw that. I was not able to follow that from this vantage point.
Adam Humphries came in motion, and then Jameis snapped the ball, turned around, and handed it to Humphries as he was flying down the backside of the line of scrimmage. Looked like it had a pretty good gain. You know, from this angle and you know, the height we're at, plays on the opposite side of the field, you can't really tell if he was going to be down or not going to be down. But, you know, he definitely made it around the corner and would have had some type of positive gain.
Bucks are back at the line. Evan Smith in now at center for the number 2s. Jameis is under center. He drops back the snap. Play action pass completes. Freddie Martino wide open in space. Would have been down. That looks like that would have easily been a gain of, oh gosh, I don't know.
20.
10, 20, maybe 30,
20.
somewhere
it looks
around
like
there.
The Bucks were going, I couldn't tell if it was zone or man, but Freddie Martino came out of the slot and then broke off his pattern underneath a receiver that was going deep. Looked like it was Whitehead's zone or man to get over there for coverage, and he got over late.
The Bucks have returned the ball to the line of scrimmage. They're not moving the ball down. We got Catanzaro down far practicing some kicks.
You interrupted me to talk about Catanzaro?
No, I interrupted people to say that the ball is back. They did not advance the ball the 20 yards that they earned.
No. They're playing situational football. Look at the down marker. It's like 2nd and 5.
Oh, fair enough.
Training camp fun with the family. Training camp fun.
I got my little girl now trying to come over. She's a little tired. They stayed up. Baby stayed up a little too late last night.
Oh, yeah? What were they doing?
They were so excited. Oh, they just wouldn't go to sleep. Ryan Griffin is now under center. Play action pass there.
Another screen pass. Eau Claire, of all people.
So, fun news about Eau Claire. I got to talk to him last night for just a minute. I texted you this last night after it happened.
Antony Eau Claire?
Antony. I asked him how he actually pronounce his name. It's Antony, as he told me. With about as French of an accent as you possibly could, but it sounded a little Italian to me. Antony. But O.J. Howard was sitting right next to him. He said, "No, man, we just call you Ant."
Yeah.
I said, "Like the bug?" He's like, "Yeah, we call him Ant."
All right, well.
So for all the Bucs fans out there, we just call him Ant Eau Claire from now on.
Double A. Call him remote, because that's what a remote control takes for the TV, or double A's.
Bucs are lined up. Ryan Griffin under center. Defense brought it in, collapsed him all the way back, and then he got to give a little dump off to Jacquez Rogers. Got it back to the line of scrimmage in that case.
Looks like the ones are coming back in. Ryan Fitzpatrick huddling them up. JVP running out on the field. Curry, of course, McCoy, the usual. I want to see if they're still putting Justin Evans in the slot, or is that just something they were practicing
Justin
earlier?
Evans is pulling back to safety right now.
All right.
And
so
Conti is out there.
We got Ryan Smith and Carlton Davis right now starting corners. Who's covering the slot? Is that a linebacker? Somebody's heads up on Godwin.
Well, as we went there, just so you guys know, Fitzpatrick lined up under center, pulled back into a shotgun, and it looks like Gerald McCoy, possibly JPP, got back there for the sack, broke up everything, and would have put Fitzpatrick on the ground, except, they don't tackle the quarterback in these situations.
Which is baloney. Kidding.
I do believe
It's more like a superstada.
There you go. We got Jameis Winston in the game now, lining up with the ones. I like the rotation that they're giving between Jameis and Fitzpatrick.
Here we go.
There we go. Big play. Drops back. Clean play to Deshaun Jackson. Nails it into the end zone for 6 points. That'd be a great play. Boy, I got to tell you what. You talk about a deep threat. That is a deep threat in action, Ren.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson, a lot of people have talked about how the chemistry between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston has been much better this camp. There was a little evidence right there. Deshaun Jackson did have to slow up a little bit, but he, jumped up, gave some effort, and caught the ball. So
D-Jax is now running back in front of us. Obviously, he's getting the fans all into the game.
Fitzpatrick back in.
Fitzpatrick back in. They are lining up. He is in the shotgun with the number ones. Mike Evans. Justin Watson split out, it looks like.
Have a whistle.
There's Cutter blowing the play dead. Not exactly sure what happened there. Well, I got to tell you, that is one of those, I guarantee you, fans are going to see the clip of that throw right there on Buccaneers.com on their Twitter feed sometime later today. That'll be one that'll make the highlight reel for sure. Fitzpatrick dropped back in the shotgun right now. Completes a pass to Chris Godwin over the middle for a gain of about 5. Probably would have been taken down there, but he is currently running the ball into the end zone.
Real nice pressure from McCoy. Even further back than that, I'm not sure if Fitzpatrick would have got that ball off, but Brent was exactly right. A little 5-yard pass to Godwin. It looked like Whitehead came up and would have made the tackle right away.
Sorry about it. I completely missed what you were just saying. I was explaining the Deshaun Jackson. He wears number 1 in practice, but he's number 11 on the scorecard. My wife couldn't figure out who that player was. Because on the roster card, he's still listed as 11.
That is a good point.
Looks like they have moved into red zone offense. Oh, no, they're moving into a kick.
Oh, here we go.
It's field goal or extra point. I'm not really sure. Doesn't really matter. It's kind of the same thing. And Catanzaro kicks it, puts the boot up. It's good, right between the sticks.
I think. Yep, now they're moving back. It looks to be somewhere placed on the 27. So...
Well, the ball will be on the 30-yard line, so this will be about a 40-yard punt right here, or field goal.
No, the ball's on the 27. Nails it again. And, okay, now they're going to the other hash. They're putting the ball on the 24. So that's 34 plus 7 yards for the snap. It's 42. Is that right?
Well, yeah, but you can see where the holder is and tell you where it's going to be. He's now at 32.
And then add the 10 yards for the end zone.
So it's a 42-yard.
Okay.
Nails it right in between the sticks. Drained it right in the center.
Center of the cup. This appears to be 49 yards. Just inside 50. See how he does. Ooh. Drilled it with plenty of leg.
Plenty of leg, but it just shaded right inside the left side.
All right, now we got a long one. Right, looks like it's going to be right at 50 yards here.
They've moved over to the other hash mark, though, too. Right in the middle. He got it.
Okay, here it is. This is where you make your money as an NFL kicker. Looks like this is going to be 58.
Ren about took a set of beads in the face.
Yeah, I know. If I take beads in the face, I'm fighting somebody. That's just uncalled for.
We got Adam Humphries heading down.
This is 58 yards. Catanzaro's going to try this. They're putting Adam Humphries deep to in case it's short so he can catch it, practice catching it and running it back out, possibly. Here it is, 58 yards.
No,
oh, no, it's not.
That's not even close.
Not even, it felt like it looked like it was tipped.
Yeah.
But Hump, everyone was prepared for it, and they all broke down the field. Hump, picked it up and did some running and scrambling.
It almost
that wasn't good.
If that was actually supposed to be a field goal, no, that wasn't good. But it almost looked like they were doing that on purpose, and I can't imagine why they would have been.
So to practice for the team to run downfield, practice for the team to make blocks for the guy running out of the end zone.
I guess. Would they do that in a real game?
Yeah.
Put a guy down there in case the ball goes really short?
Yeah, and try to run it back. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they actually did that on purpose, maybe to run that particular drill.
And
just the way he kicked, because his kick was not good.
No, it was bad.
Yeah, like the kick itself was bad. Like you could hear the way it hit his foot. Like it was just a thud. Wasn't even a good snap. All right, we are back. We are now at 11 on 11s. This is the part where everybody has been waiting for, Ren.
1st and 10.
1st and 10. We are at the 40-yard line, heading towards the end zone. Fitzpatrick is in with the ones, as you would expect. Martino actually is out.
Toss switch.
But we get a toss sweep to
Barber.
Barber as he breaks off. Probably would have had about 5 yards on that, 4 or 5 yards.
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah.
It looked like he would have got 3, but since it's Peyton Barber, he probably would have pushed forward for 6.
And that's exactly what we saw on Thursday night, because he does that. So let's see. It looks like we got Anto Claire and O.J. Howard in as tight ends.
You mean remote? I think we should go with it, man.
We got Austin Johnson in at fullback.
Oh, who is that? Oh, O.J. Howard. Ooh, I'm like, who's that ginormous fullback? He put his hand down, then he split back out to outside the tackle.
Fitzpatrick under center as he drops back. Play action pass. Plenty of time in the pocket. Picked off almost.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
Tandy?
That was some kind of miscommunication between Barber, Howard, or Evans, because Fitzpatrick put it somewhere where nobody was, and Keith Tandy made a diving chance at it. He should have had it. Like it was catchable. It was a hard catch, but it was catchable, and it just sort of squirted between his arms, his elbows, and his thighs, and right out the back.
Bucks are lining up again. Anthony O'Clair is still in.
Remote.
Split out white. Right. Here comes Adam Humphries. Wow, he's taking off. He's going to take it into the house. Yeah.
I'm not sure. That looked like could have been. It was really close to being like a 4 or 5 yard loss. He made a couple of cuts, but, since they're not tackling to the ground, the defenders sort of pulled up.
They did pull up. They absolutely did look like they pulled up.
But then you can make an argument that he made a cut and got some positive yards out of it. But as far as, the end around jet sweep, that one was not as successful as the first one. It's Adam Humphries.
The Bucks have shuffled out their line as well as their quarterback. Jameis Winston is in now under center. They snap the ball. He drops back to pass. He passes to Adam Humphries, who catches it down the right-hand sideline for first down.
That was an interesting little play there. It was a play action, and then he did a rollout to the left. Oh, sorry, to the right. And Anthony O'Clair, who was lined up on the left, was trailing down the line of scrimmage as his, emergency outlet. Then he had 2 layers down the field. He had a deeper option or a mid option. He went to the mid option. They were all going across the field from left to right, and he ended up hitting Adam Humphries for a nice game.
We got Mike Evans back in the game. Chris Godwin, who's motioning to the right. Jameis Winston drops back. Plenty of pressure from Gerald McCoy, but he completes a pass to Chris Godwin down the sideline. Looks like that might have been enough for a first down.
Rod God first down. I mean, death taxes and first down by Chris Godwin. Get used to it.
It's the only thing guaranteed in life.
Unless you're playing Miami on Thursday night. And the safety comes over and hits you.
The Bucks have shuffled all of their players again. We got Ryan Griffin in. Looks like with the number 2, maybe the number 3 offensive line. So he grabs the ball, drops back. A toss back to Rojo. Goes in for a gain of about 4.
Ronald Jones, I've noticed this practice is instead of trying to move or juke around guys when they get in front of him and go for the 2-hand touch, he's lowering his head. I mean, it's like the 3rd or 4th time I've seen him go to the ground because he's basically making people tackle him. He's trying to run him over, which is, I don't have no problem with it whatsoever. But that was a little nice gain. It was like, 4 yards, 4.5.
Catch 4 yards on each run, you'll never see 3rd down or 4th down. Ryan Griffin drops back. Little toss off to Cameron Brate. I think that would have been enough for the first down right there.
Yeah, he got a little separation from Sitchy there. That was a pitch and catch, little, play action rollout. Like I said, Brate got a little separation and caught the ball, picked up the first down, ran out of bounds.
Little separation. Is that how that song goes?
Yes, it is. Good call. Charles Sims is in. Cam Brate is playing fullback right now, but exactly, I expect him to go ahead and give it to the line.
Right. Ryden Griffin under center. He drops back.
He's going deep. Going to nobody. Looks like Cam Brate sort of gave up on that route.
Yeah.
He couldn't get to the
Riley
ball.
Bulla looked like he wanted to try to pick it off, but went right over his head. Falls incomplete. As the Bucs move the ball down the field now to about the 25-yard line. The down marker still reads first down, it looks like, from where I'm sitting.
Can't tell if it's
third down,
Third
actually.
down. Looks like they're doing like
so they're moving 3rd and 25 is where they are now.
I think they're doing, it's like 3rd and 10 from the 25.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Or 3rd and 8.
That's what I mean.
Fair enough.
It's not 3rd and 25. They haven't pushed it
3rd
back
and 25. 2 holding penalties.
3rd down to at the 25-yard
2
line.
holding penalties and a 5-yard loss by Charles Sims. No.
Right.
2 2-yard losses and 1 1-yard loss. No, 2 2.5. Forget it.
All right, Jameis Winston in. He takes the snap and throws it.
Yeah, that was sort of Jameis' strength where, he does a lot of the timing routes where he can fit it into tight windows. And he threw it where he thought Humphrey was going to be, but Humphrey slipped a little bit coming out of his break. So by the time he, regained his balance and looked up, the ball was by him. Had Justin Evans in the slot on the coverage.
Got Bernard Reedy and Freddie Martino, as well as Jacquizz Rodgers now in the game.
Winston's still at quarterback.
Looks like he's lining up under Leapke. Maybe Alex Kappa. No, Alex Kappa in at right guard is what that is. Hands it off to Jacquizz Rodgers. He would have gotten in the scrum there. Grabbed a couple of yards.
Yeah, that was an inside handoff out of the shotgun.
Fitzpatrick looks like he's coming back out on the field right now. Fans are starting to get itchy here, Ren. You can kind of feel it.
But you can look outside and see how dark the skies are.
Yeah.
People are starting to make business decisions like,
do we stay or do we just go?
Do we go now and, sort of not get rained on later?
Right. Snap the ball. Fitzpatrick drops back. Nice completion over the middle to O.J. Howard into the end zone. That would have been 6 points.
Yeah, it was. That's unstoppable. He just, looks like he's a foot taller than the people covering him. That was right in the middle of double coverage. Fitz put it in there, put it in high. O.J. Howard, and then when he jumps, now he's like 2.5 feet taller than everybody. Mm-hmm. No chance for the DB or the safety in that, and easy pitch and catch for 6.
Yeah, it's a tough decision for the autograph hounds.
It is
out here tonight.
Yeah.
You know,
why are you having that problem right now?
No, I'm not, because we've got a show we've got to do here. So we're here to the end anyway. You know how it rains here
Look
in
at
Florida.
Brent Grimes doing handstands. Did you see him?
I did.
Brent Grimes in full pads is doing handstands and walking on his hands, and then sort of dropped himself into a press and then gingerly brought himself back down right side up.
He may be off of vacation now in pads and everything, but he's still...
Yeah. That guy, he's one of those guys, like sort of like Herschel Walker, who started MMA at 42.
It's like, I'm not going to get any better by practicing right now. I'll be okay.
Oh, you mean, I talked about that the other day.
Jameis Winston under center, drops back. Throws it up. Number 88. Who is that? Is that Eau Claire?
He's 82.
Was it 82? Who is that?
Who is
Maybe
it?
Ernsberger or someone? No, Ernsberger just got cut. I don't know. One of our deep tight ends
who's not going to make the team.
Right. Went up for a 50-50 ball, and he went in and bobbled it and lost the ball.
Yeah, it was good coverage. They got there at the same time. DB got there at the same time the ball did. Kids, what are you going to do?
I got my 3-year-old out here throwing balls at people here in the stands.
Strangers starting to get mad. Winston steps up in the pocket, fires. Nice ball in traffic to Justin Watson.
That was a good, solid. That was a commanding catch by Justin Watson, in at least double, if not triple coverage. When I looked up to see what was going on, man, he took command of that ball. He said, "Nobody's taking it from me."
Yeah, you're right. He went up and got that. Number 88 for future reference is Tanner Hudson.
All right,
Exactly. All right.
he'll be here for a couple more weeks. He might be back on the practice squad. We got Ryan Griffin in now, under center, handing off to Dare
Ogbabwe.
I don't know. He signed a ball for me last night, though.
You've got like $200 worth of merchandise signed by just worthlessness.
It was about $25 worth of merchandise.
Oh, the ball was only?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's only $25.
that's good. Wait, was it a Nerf ball? Like
No, it's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers autograph ball.
for $25?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're not bad.
That's very reasonably priced.
Yeah, they're not bad.
It kind of looks like most of the starters are done for the day. Hump, Jackson, Watson all have their
Helmets off.
helmets off.
wandering around.
Oh, I didn't notice Bobo Wilson isn't practicing today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's it, man.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was just, once again, our play-by-play of some of the things we saw and at the indoor portion of the practice. But after that, besides we all got soaking wet going out to the car, you took off and went to the Florida Aquarium.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, you came back for another sort of special invitee event. Can you tell us about, what happened there?
Yeah, this was one of those events that they had planned way back earlier in the summer when they released the training camp schedule and everybody had to start going to get their tickets. This was what they called this was the Premium Member Walk Thru. So as I understand it, this included people who had club level seats, Hall of Fame, luxury suites. Those were the people that were available to get tickets for this event. I would say all told there was I don't know that there was 1,000 people there. Like it was a couple hundred, we came back and
So just like it was, so there was a lot of space in the stands. Like it wasn't like 1,000, 2,000, because
No.
I would say like during open practices, there's probably like 3,000 people there.
Sure.
And you're saying this is like 100, maybe 200?
Oh, no. This would be more like 750, 800. Maybe 1,000, knocking on the door of 1,000.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I mean, lots more space. Of course, everybody wanted to sit at the 50-yard line, so that was a little more compact, and that's where I wound up, was back at the 50-yard line. Guys, listen, it's exactly what you might think it is. I actually wound up live tweeting it from the Pewtercast Twitter feed, and it's a walk through. And they had Casey Phillips and Shelton Quarles come out and kind of explain what was getting ready to happen. And they, basically the way that Shelton Quarles said it, he said this is partly in due to the CBA, like where the Bucs are only allowed to have certain amount of hitting and actual live full padded practice, where they're not allowed to do two-a-days anymore. Back in Shelton's day, they did two-a-days. In fact, Casey asked him, she's like, what does that do for you when you sit back and you look at these young guns who don't get two-a-days and you had to go through all that? Does that do anything to you? He's like, no, that doesn't make me mad. He's like, what makes me mad is when I see the paychecks they're handing out to these young guys. It's like, man, I was 20 years too early, But he kind of came out and he's like, now listen, they're just coming out and they're basically correcting what went wrong in practice earlier today.
Right. So they've had practice. They've gone back to the classroom. They've eaten, and they've looked over the film. They've done the classroom study with the coaches and broke down all the mistakes. And now they're coming back out basically just in – they're not – are they even wearing helmets?
No, they're not. They're not even wearing like padded jerseys. Like some are in jeans, some are in shorts, some are in whatever, and they have just a regular jersey on.
Right.
Baseball caps. Don't even have their helmets with them.
So they come out there, and that's what, like you said, this is to go over the plays and errors they did during practice, and to go at a very slow speed, so they can be coached almost step by step to clean up what they messed up.
Exactly. And what he said was, it's full speed pre-snap, but it's walking tempo post snap. So basically what Shelton Quarles was doing out there is he's saying, listen, guys, this is not going to be very exciting. This is going to be kind of boring. But that's what this is. And here's what they're doing in the middle of it. He also said, by the way, they're out there talking to each other. There's no music. They have to hear each other. So you guys are okay to talk. Just don't keep loud because they actually have to talk to each other on the field.
Right. There's lots of communication going on. Apparently, I don't know if they always do this in the indoor facility. Shelton Quarles just made a mention that Coach Cutter was very insistent that if they opened this up for anybody to come watch, that they did it inside because they wanted to make sure that the fans were comfortable. That Coach Cutter was the one who's adamant about that. So I kind of got the feeling a lot of times they just do this on the outdoor field, which, I guess it's closer for sure. But I don't know. I don't know. What time was it? Dark yet?
Well, it wasn't dark when they started, but it was definitely dark by the time they finished. So that was the other thought. I mean,
maybe they started a little later. Maybe the walkthroughs are earlier in the day.
They did
because there's no lights at $1 for the outdoor fields.
There's not. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. One thing that Shelton Quarles did say, and I thought this was a fun little insight. Okay. Let me preface this whole piece, this whole experience by saying it was exactly what it was advertised as. It was a walkthrough. It was boring. You did not know what was happening. There was not much exciting happening at all. To an observant person, though, there was still kind of some fun stuff to glean. Like this would be one of those things, Ren, you and I or any fan out there would want to go to one, maybe two of these and be like, okay, I've seen it. Okay, yeah. I'm done. But it's good to do that one or two times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you can talk about it, comes up in conversation and,
sure.
Fun little nuggets we can discuss. But after you've seen it, like you said, 2 or 3 times, it's like, yeah, okay, it's dudes walking around and I can't hear what they're saying. I'm just watching guys, walk around in 11-on-11s.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. And it's there was no media there. There was no press conferences. There was no PR guys there, as far as I could tell. Nothing. This was purely that. So, but one of the things, and this is one of those kind of intriguing things, if you're listening and paying attention, was we got an idea of what the player schedule is like during camp. Shelton Quarles kind of walked us through. He said the basic schedule every day for the players is they get breakfast from 5:45 to 7:30. So they arrive at the facility sometime between then. They get breakfast, and they got to get ready for the day. Like, they got to get their pads and stuff on. And then they're in meetings from 7:30 until 8:15. And then that's when we start seeing them come out onto the field. Practice goes at 8:45 and goes until about 11. And then the players are actually free from 11 to 3 o'clock. And that's when they can go get whatever they need to do in the training room. Obviously they take showers, they go figure out lunch.
Take naps.
Take a nap, take a little bit down, and you got to figure
play PUBG,
play Fortnite, sign some autographs, because a lot of these, when these players stay after training camp to sign autographs, that's their time that they're using. So,
right, as soon as practice is over.
Yeah, gotcha. So when Jameis Winston stays and he signs every single person who's there, who wants to get a picture with him, that's him using his own personal time, where he could be off resting or getting treatment or doing whatever. I found that really, really interesting of just, hey, listen, for anyone who's out there who goes to training camp and you're asking these guys to get their autographs, just realize that is their own time. Like, this is not a contractual thing that they have to do. So, but then they're free from 11 to 3, and then they come back and they have some meetings, and they have dinner at 5:30. And then after dinner, they do walkthrough. Now, he didn't give us a time for when dinner is over, but you presume 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock is typically when they would move to walkthrough. And this is where they, they're correcting everything that that happened in practice early that morning, and then everything they've talked about, in their meetings throughout the course of the day. He said, and then the players get to go back to the hotel, and they're back at the hotel, by, I guess, 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. Because players are staying in a hotel while they're in camp. They're not at home.
Right.
So when you think about it, their day, every day for them, is about 12 to 14 hours. Now, granted, there's that chunk of free time in the middle, but if they're using it for autographs and then they got to get changed, and if they're going to get any kind of treatment, and then by the time they get lunch, they're really only getting about an hour break to just kind of decompress and do other things.
Yeah, it's like working a double at a restaurant.
Yeah. So these guys, they have major days, but I that was something that I found incredibly interesting as far as what a player's day was like.
About how long it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You on the outside looking, you tend to think pretty much after practice, it's like, okay, they're done. Okay, they're going to go in and maybe have some meetings and get something to eat, but they're going to be out of the building by 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock latest. But no, like they're there till like 9, right. And then you got to go back to your room, and then you probably have just like I would probably get to sleep around 11 latest because you got to be back up into practice in 5 hours.
Well, but I mean, keep in mind a lot of these guys are 21, 22, 23 years old. If I'm that age, you know what I'm doing at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night?
Playing Fortnite?
Yeah, like I'm up, and I'm with all my buddies and I'm with all my friends and the excitement of the day and getting amped up. You imagine maybe the older ones are like, all right, guys, go to sleep. Maybe as camp drags on, they stop doing that. But you got to imagine those early days, it's just the excitement of being there and stuff.
It's like camp.
Yeah, training camp, as it were.
Oh, nice.
So as far as the way they did it, if I had one complaint about the thing, and I'll get to some insights that I had later from just watching, but if I had one complaint, when the coaches came out and they started talking, like when they started doing their thing, because this is them working, like this is a normal day for them. We were just invited to observe. And that's really all it was. There was no like in the moment saying, okay, this is what Nate Katzer is talking to the players about. Here's what they saw earlier today. So here's what they're getting ready to walk through and try to correct. The coaches were not mic'd at all. You couldn't hear what they were saying. You couldn't hear what they were saying to each other or anything like that. That would have been super nice to either have the coaches mic'd up to where we could hear what they're saying. And I can understand why they might not do that, but it still would have been nice to have that happen, or to have like a Scott Shelton and Casey kind of sitting on the side saying, okay, what are they doing now? What are they walking through? Because I can see Nate Katzer's out there he's coaching them and he's showing them the card and, saying you go here, you go there. And I can see, okay, this is kickoff, this is punt, this is, I can visually see that, but all you're seeing is they're getting down, they're snapping the ball, and then everybody's kind of standing up, putting a hand on each other.
Right.
And they're maybe literally walking from one gap to another. Like, so unless you know what you're doing, you're running through, unless you're running through the playbook in your head, if you're just sitting there observing, it's not much. You're not seeing a ton. Nobody's really throwing a ball. No one's really you are handing off the ball, but they're not hitting a hole, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like the installs during training camp practices.
Sure.
That's the time, when you've been there enough, you're like, okay, here's the time where I go grab something to drink, or I use the restroom, or I go inside and get the air conditioning for a little bit. Because, it's just what they're doing. They're just, they're walking. They're doing a walkthrough. So you said you had some observations.
Yeah.
So
a couple of ones. Jameis was getting definitely most of the work in with the ones during walkthrough. I honestly did not see that Fitz was in there really at all, at least in the first part, because he was very much milling around in the background. But it was Jameis who was kind of going through most of that. Now, it's possible I just missed a snap or two, but it was mostly Jameis, which I found very, very interesting. So that was one. Vita Vea was there. I don't know if anybody else noted it earlier in the day, but he was not walking around in a boot. So that was good to see.
He's been out of the boot for like 3 or 4 days.
Good. It's the first I'd actually seen of it or heard of it. So, but he was not really participating. He was there, he was listening, but not participating. Fitzpatrick did eventually get in. They did eventually split into 2 groups where one went on the left side of the room, one went on the right side of the room. And
I thought this was interesting.
Yeah. Fitzpatrick was, he was definitely in with the ones. Jameis rotated in and out a little bit, but it was mostly Jameis. They were probably in the split for, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. Which, by the way, if you've ever been to training camp, they have the scoreboard. They run through periods, and in a normal practice, they have like 12 to 14 periods or something like that, and each period's about 10 minutes. They told us there's 5 periods for walkthrough, and they're about 8 minutes each. So, this moves fast for them. This is less than an hour for them. So, I'm kind of waiting for this is like period 4. I'm waiting for the period to count down and see them change and do something different. But it switched over to period 5 and nobody moved. Nobody switched up. And I started looking around, and what I realized really quick was on the left side of the room, all of the players over there, it was like, no, these are the guys who are on the roster. These are the guys who are absolutely making the roster.
These are the guys you wanted autographs from.
Yes, I want those guys. The guys on the right side of the room were all the people and by the people on the left side of the room, let's say that was 30 guys, right? Maybe 35 guys. The other side of the room was about twice that, 60, 70 guys. And those were all the guys that were battling for position spots, for positions on the team. Now, nobody said that this is what the division was, okay? It's just visually that's what it looked like to me. As I start,
right.
And you start kind of at that point, forget what they're actually doing. I'm starting to take note of who's where.
Right, yeah.
And so a couple of things, and this will change, as we go through and we start, we continue to talk about our roster predictions and, who's going to take up those last few slots. A couple of names that kind of stood out to me over on the roster side, I'll call it. This is the side of people who are going to make the roster. Is one person specifically was Jacquizz Rodgers is over there. Now I have said as we talk about the running back position, they'll keep 3, probably 4 positions there, and you have Peyton Barber who'll make the team. You've got Ronald Jones who'll make the team. But then you've got Charles Sims, Jacquizz Rodgers, and Sean Wilson who are battling out for 1, maybe 2 spots. So who's the odd man out? And I've kind of been saying I think Jacquizz Rodgers would be the odd man out of those 3.
Right.
But according to the preliminary what's that called?
Chart.
Depth chart that got put out that Ren, you did a show on, and then what I saw here, Jacquizz Rodgers seems to have a pretty good hold on his spot on the roster.
Yeah.
And clearly over on the other side of people who are battling was Sean Wilson and Charles Sims.
Charles Sims was not on the roster side?
No.
Oh.
He was over on the other side. He was on the – now that's – again, I put the caveat. If I'm reading this correctly, if I'm seeing this right –
well, and you were, because that's where he was in the depth chart as well.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. We're looking at these different pieces, and I'm starting to put this stuff together. Another person who was on the roster side, a couple other people on the roster side. Will Clark was on the roster lock side.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Freddie Martino was on the roster lock side.
Okay.
Which I thought was very interesting because we get into that wide receiver group and we start talking about you got Freddie Martino, Bernard Reedy.
We've hashed that a bunch. So who else was over there besides the big 4? Was Martino the only guy?
He was the only one that I saw. Yeah, he was the only one I saw because Reedy and Watson and Lampman. Those guys were all on the other side. Yeah, Phillips. Right. Yeah, they were all on the other side. So I thought that was real interesting.
Did you see where Will Golston was?
I did not. I did not. That was not one that I no, I just didn't. I didn't see.
What about Ryan Smith?
Ryan Smith was on the roster side. So, like I said,
that was interesting. Was there anybody on the non-roster? I'm going to start calling them loser side, and nothing personal against them. I don't like roster side, non-roster side. So on the loser side, was there anybody over there that you saw that was like, huh? Yeah, besides, because Charles Sims.
Yeah, let me give you 2. Let me give you 2 more for the other side, and then I'll jump over there. Caleb Beninock was on the roster side, which that shouldn't be a big surprise, but he was the guy who took every single rep at starting right guard during walkthrough.
And the other one?
It was not. He wasn't mixing it up with Alex Kapp because Alex Kapp was on the other side. We'll talk about that in a minute. The other one was Alan. Yeah, I know. Alan Cross was the other guy on the roster side.
That's not surprising either.
It's not surprising, but when you look at what the show that you had actually put out yesterday, I think, Ren, talking about Alan Cross speaking and
the philosopher Alan Cross.
Yeah. And I don't remember if it was from yesterday or even some of the things that we heard that kind of came out of the end of camp today as we're recording this, where they're talking about how, I think it was Dirk Cutter was saying something to the effect of they were asking if it
was Friday.
Was it Friday?
It was Friday after the game. Like, how much did that touchdown catch help Alan Cross because he's sort of been a bubble guy?
Right. And Cutter was something like, he may not be on the bubble like you think he is.
Yeah, he's not on the bubble.
Yeah, he's not on the bubble. So, you put all of those together, and I think that kind of helps really inform when you start talking about a 53-man roster. I think those few things inform some of those positions that, we have had questions about and Bucs fans in general have had questions about. So I thought that was real interesting. All right, you want to know about the other side?
Yeah, because those last two guys really weren't a big shock to anybody.
Right. They were a shock to me. Not a shock. That's not right. It's more confirmation. Let's put it that way. I had suspicions it was confirmation. On the other side, Anthony Auclair was a guy.
Really?
Yeah.
So Cross was on winners and Auclair was on losers side.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Devontae Bond was over on the other side.
That's a tough position, man.
Yeah.
I was Riley, Riley Bulla, of course, we all know him from Hard Knocks, and he sort of became a fan favorite because of his catchy nickname. He had 2 pass breakups today in practice that I saw, via Twitter, and that's the reason why he didn't make the 53-man roster last year, was because of that. And now that it looks like obviously it's getting better. He had 2 pass breakups today, so that 5th linebacker spot between Bond, Bulla, and Sitchy is something to really watch. Were all 3 of those guys in the loser side?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very much up in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as you talk about Sitchy, let's talk about the draft picks that were over on that side. Alex Kappa was on that side, Jack Sitchy was on that side, and Justin Watson were all over on that side. Stevie T was also over on that side. Draft pick from last year that got redshirted. That one's maybe not super surprising, just, noting that that's where he is. Will Golston, though, I'm sorry I didn't see that one because I really would have liked to have known that. Let me see if I have a picture.
It's got a picture. You're gonna scan your picture,
right?
Well, yeah, because Will Golston is someone who a lot of people were wondering why he was on the team because he had such a bad year last year even by Will Golston's standards, and we're paying him $6 million. Like, well, if we cut him now, I think there was a date he had to be on the team, but it was very early, like May 1st or something. Makes his salary fully guaranteed, and people are like, we can get rid of him. We have the $6 million for free agency. Like he's terrible. But then I've been a defender of Will Golston, one, because I feel everybody regressed last year in Jay Hayes' system, at least statistically. And after this year, his roster becomes so team friendly. Like, he can help your team. He doesn't have to be a starter defensive end. As this rotation goes, I think Will can help the team, but he has not had a good camp. So you've looked at the picture update?
Yeah, I don't see him in the picture on the lock side, but that I don't have that line where people are standing watching.
Are you saying that he's doing so poorly he wasn't even on the loser side? He was on was there winner side, loser side, and then the Will Golston area? He's that bad?
Well, no, because in practice, they have the guys who are lining up actually doing the drill, and then they have everybody else who's standing right behind them in a line watching.
Yeah, the wall of humanity.
Yeah, I don't have that wall from the roster lock side in a picture that I can look at and see.
All right, but I think that was that Alex Kappa I think is probably the biggest shock.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That was the one.
Or Charles Sims. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, Charles Sims. But, I like Charles Sims' skill set. But as long as you just don't hand him the ball. You know what I mean? It's sure. If he was Charles Sims could probably make an NFL roster as a slot receiver, or or sort of like that do-it-all guy. But man, I don't know what happened to him from 2-3 years ago when, he actually could get some yardage if you hand him the ball off. But now it's just like if you don't get him in space, he's almost worthless. But when you get him in space, he's gonna do some things for you.
Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, that was, as far as like insights from what I got and kind of noting on who was on each side, those were really kind of the big names. Everything else was, same names that you would expect on each of their sides. So, cool little event. They did sign some more autographs. God, this was like an autograph weekend for me. They did sign some more autographs there at the end. Actually, Donovan Smith got down and played with my little 3-year-old girl for a little bit. She had a big pink football, and he was kind of talking to her and rolling the ball back and forth with her a little bit. And then he stood up. I understand my 3-year-old girl is all of 2'9", right? And like he stands up, his 7-foot tall body, and like he had to crack his back a little bit as he stood up, like bending over.
Ow! Yeah,
So.
she probably came up to like his kneecap.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, that might have just endeared Donovan Smith to my heart.
Oh yeah, you are my favorite player.
You are. Forget everyone else. You're it now. The better half of the Allie and Donovan radio show.
I think it's going on TV. I think they're going to film it and put it through the Buccaneers website.
Allie and Donovan?
They're coming back, right?
No, I haven't heard about this.
Oh,
You're not joking right now.
I am not joking.
No.
Like, I was watching. Okay, here's the story. Not a lot has been out there, but I was listening to or watching, I should say, one of the training camp. I don't know if they even call it Miller Lite Insider, whatever they do during training camp, with Casey Phillips and Scott Smith, where they answer questions and they sort of show training camp in the background. They walk in and out of the frame. Someone asked about the Allie and Donovan radio show, and Casey said, actually, I think this was inside before training camp. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The point being, she said, if you're a fan of the radio show, I think you're going to be very pleased about an announcement coming up. Okay? So I'm like, okay, they're coming back to the radio show. Well, Donovan Smith did an interview on the sidelines of the Miami game, and the interviewer, I think it was Dan Lucas, alluded to this show that's coming up with him and Allie. And Donovan, he kind of mumbled it, but he said, I'm glad they decided that we just don't have that we don't have faces for radio.
Interesting.
Which would lead me to believe that it's going to be some kind of segmented, like some show that's going to be filmed at $1, obviously, and well, not obviously, but I think it's going to be filmed at $1. I don't think it's going on Channel 8 or 10 or like affiliated with any of those. I think it's just something that, hopefully it's going to be like two fat guys making pancakes, and they just sort of. That was my idea for the radio show, by the way, when they asked that way back in the day, because pancake blocks, fat guys, pancakes. So I thought it was all funny. Just kind of sitting there and doing their thing, and they film it and throw it up on Buccaneers.com. So I'm looking forward to that. And I almost, since you didn't know, I'm sure if you knew, you probably would have asked him something about that as he's,
I would have,
like playing, football with your little girl.
Yeah.
But anything else?
Man, that was really it. It was it did not rain as we headed out the second time.
Man, did we get drenched or what?
Man, it was one of those, like, you kind of, and you guys heard it in the thing where we started talking about, the autograph hounds have to make a choice here because it's moving in. We're going to see it, but do we run to the car now or do we wait? And we kind of waited a little bit because we were, getting all the different things.
Well, yeah, you had to get, you get your boy's shirt signed by Gerald McCoy.
Exactly. And we were walking out, and I think we got about halfway to the car. You could kind of feel the drops coming a little bit.
It was sprinkling when we came out.
Yeah, but man, it opened up about halfway to the gate. And just poured and thankfully checkout for our hotel room wasn't until noon, and so we were able to go back to the hotel, and actually there was a laundry facility in the room right next to ours, so we threw our clothes in the dryer and had dry clothes the rest of the day, which was nice.
Yeah,
so, not that anybody out there cares about the state of our clothes,
right? But what they might care about, especially the YouTube watchers, is that because of that storm, I forgot to grab the tapestry / flag that you had brought for me in the back of your car.
Yeah.
So I still have the floral pillows and duvet in the background. So
you know what? Maybe instead of getting a tapestry, Ren, what I need to do is get you the pillows and the duvet cover, the Pewtercast branded pillows and duvet cover. And
are those? I haven't even. Are those out there? I haven't seen those.
They are an option that I can put into the store. Yes, they're not in the store, but I can make it happen. So.
Okay. So how about this? Okay, we're all done. How about you tell people about the store, tell people about our fantasy football league, and do your thing. Let's wrap this up.
If you guys want to support the Pewtercast, you guys know one way you can do that is you can go to patreon.com/the Pewtercast. You can find out there's a whole bunch of different information, different tiers. That's one way you can support the show. Lots of people actually have been signing up, which has been really cool. Hello to all of our patrons. You guys are awesome. Patrons do have privileges, like getting to use tickets that are unavailable to, or that are free available to us, that we can't use. But another way you can support the show is go through our merch store. Now we have a website that is coming. I can't even say soon, but it is coming. It's currently being worked on, and so it'll be much easier to get to it one day. But currently, if you go to our Twitter feed, I'll pin it up at the top of the page, or onto our Facebook feed. I'll paint it there. It's a link that'll send you over to the team merch, to the merch store, and you guys can get T-shirts. You can get coffee mugs, you can get stickers, you can get a tapestry. If you want a tapestry, you can get a cool little.
It's a flag. Call it a flag. It's a flag.
Sure, fair enough. It's a
Isn't
sheet.
it?
You can get bed sheets. You can get duvet covers. They'll put our logo on anything that you want. But you guys can do that.
There's phone case available.
There's phone cases, yeah.
Travel mugs.
Exactly, yeah. So tons of stuff over there, guys. It's all branded for the Pewtercast, and that some of that money kicks back to us as well, and it just goes to help support the show and get us things like cool backgrounds for Ren, and provide for the show so we can actually produce a better show for you. So that's one way you guys can do that. You can look great and support the show all at the same time. Particularly the T-shirts, guys. That's I think the majority of what's going to be over there. So that's one way. Outside of that, Ren, I guess
fantasy football.
Oh, fantasy football. Thank you for that. I think it's official now. Our first league is full. So if you guys
wait. How many people is that?
It's 10 or 12.
It's got to be 12.
Okay.
I'm not doing a 10-man league.
Okay.
10-man leagues, everybody's team is a superstar. And
I will tell you, we have. Well, the reason I say we currently have 12 people signed up for fantasy football. So we'll open up a second.
Does that include us?
That would include. Well, I guess if you include both of us, that's now 13 because I was actually only including one of us. So that would be 13. So
which one? Which one were you including?
Well, because what I was thinking was at this point we're probably opening up the second one and we'll be split. So,
right, gotcha.
And how many people wind up in each league will depend on how many more people we get requested.
Minimum 12.
Okay, 12. Fair enough. So, listen, if you guys want to be in the Pewtercast, we need 11 more people. 11 more people to sign up. We'll open up our second league. So you guys email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Just put fantasy football in the header. We'll get you guys in there. Those invites will go out here real soon. We'll set the draft date. Probably sometime after the third game.
Yes.
Up to the front of the season. We'll figure all that out on the backside. But that's how you guys can do it. Lots of people signed up this year, Ren. We have a record. We have not filled out the league this fast before in the previous 2 years that we've done this. So, and up for grabs as part of the winter thing, we have signed autographed cards by Carlton Davis and Vita Vea, along with some other stuff. We'll see what happens. Maybe you win a Pewtercast shirt. I'm not really sure. We'll get through that, but we definitely we're putting that up there for the winner of the league because we want people to actually invest in the league. To not just forget about it, like actually play so we can have a good game. So with that, Ren, anything else?
Nope. I guess this is where I say goodbye. Is that what we're doing?
Sure.
All right. The easiest way to find me is on Twitter @Ren Daxt, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
If you guys want to get a hold of me personally, I am at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. You can find me there. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can find us at the Pewtercast on Twitter, facebook.com/Pewtercast, or shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. If you want to do fantasy football, put fantasy football in the subject line. We do respond to all form of feedback, and it's one of the more fun aspects of being part of this Bucs fan community. Thanks for joining us, guys. We will end this show, as always, go Bucs.
Shiver my timbers, shiver my soul, yo-ho-he-ho. There are men whose hearts are as black as coal, yo-ho-he-ho.
And they sailed their ship across the ocean blue, a bloodthirsty captain and a cutthroat crew.
It's as dark a tale as was ever told of the lust for treasure and the love of gold. Shiver my timbers, shiver my sides, yo-ho-he-ho. There are hundreds as strong as the wind and tides, yo-ho-he-ho.
And those Buccaneers drowned their sins in rum. The devil himself would have to call them scum.
Every man on board would have killed his mate for a bag of guineas or a piece of it. A piece of it.
A piece of it. 9, 6, 7, 8.
Hula waka, something not right. Many wicked, icky things gonna happen tonight. Hula waka, sail 'em and beware.
Plenty money in the ground, there's murder in the air.
Murder in the air. One more time now. Shiver my timbers, shiver my bones. Yo-ho-he-ho. There are secrets that secret old Davy Jones. Yo-ho-he-ho.
When the mainsail's set and the anchors weigh, there's no turning back from any course that's laid.
And when free and liberty sail the sea, you can get your boots of adventure. Shiver my timbers, shiver my sails.